Hi, and welcome to my review of the Canon G7X as a vlogging camera. Now you may be thinking, Tom, why are you reviewing a camera that's been out for quite a long time and has actually been updated by a new model? Well, the reason is it's still probably one of the most popular cameras for vlogging on YouTube, and now that the Mark II model's out, there are some absolute bargains to be had. I've been using it for the best part of the year, and I know a lot of you will still be considering it as a vlogging camera for making YouTube videos, so why not? I'll share my thoughts with you on it. It's going to be a quick and dirty review done in the vlogging style. I've come down to the beautiful Strand in Townsville, North Queensland, to talk about the camera, so let's do it. First of all, let's talk about the camera itself. Now the chances are, if you're looking at this review, you probably already know a fair bit about it. I'm not going to go into the specs too deeply, but essentially what you've got is a Type 1 1-inch sensor with 20 megapixels. That's larger than what you would typically find in a compact camera like this. Basically, it's going to give you better image quality. And you've got a zoom lens from 24mm at the wide setting, good for vlogging. That's the focal length I'm using now. That goes out to 100mm, which is pretty handy. The main thing about the lens is that the aperture starts at 1.8 at the wide end and goes to 2.8 when it zooms out. And that's really handy because it's going to give you some narrow depth of field, but it's also going to help you in low light situations as well. So definitely a plus for the G7X there. It's got a flip up tilty touchscreen and very popular with vloggers because that allows you to see yourself when you're filming. And as I said, it's a touchscreen, so you can touch it, and if it's a moving object like a person or a vehicle or whatever, then it will usually follow that object quite well. It shoots in 1080p full HD at 60 frames a second, so if you want to slow that down to 30, that'll give you a 2 times slow motion effect. Pretty handy as well. And those are really the main important specs. I don't want to go into too much detail because I'm just focusing on what all that means in practical use. Okay, so what do I think about the Canon G7X as a vlogging camera? Well, I like it. As I said, I've been using it for the best part of a year, and overall I've been very, very happy with it. I think the best thing about it is the size and weight. It's small, it comes in at only just over 300 grams or something like that, so it's not too heavy. Other things is its usability. I'm using the camera now in standard video mode. So what that means is it's basically auto video. The camera is going to be choosing the ISO, the shutter speed and the aperture for me, and in my experience it does a very, very good job of that. 90% of the vlogging that I do is with the camera in standard video mode. Occasionally I will go into manual, and it's good because it has that ability to be able to shoot in full manual as well. It's really good because if you don't really know what you're doing and you're new to vlogging or using cameras in general, you're going to be happy with the G7X because you can chuck it into that auto mode, that standard video mode, and you can just go, and your footage is going to look great. You don't have to think about it, and that's a major plus in my mind. What else about this? Well, the touchscreen. I talked a little bit about that a moment ago, but that is definitely a major plus to have. That touchscreen is so handy just to set your focus point, whether it's talking to the camera now, I can just touch my face, and I think I'm already in focus anyway, but the camera will lock onto that reasonably well and it'll just stay there, hopefully. Probably the last thing I say that I like about this camera is just the footage that it outputs, the image quality. It's great. As good image quality as you're ever going to need for YouTube. In fact, it's better than you need for YouTube because YouTube compresses the video anyway, but you won't be disappointed with the image quality that you get from the Canon G7X. It's certainly not lacking in that respect, and that's from a video point of view, but also from a stills point of view. That 20 megapixel sensor outputs really lovely photos as well, so that's definitely not an area that this camera is lacking in by any stretch. The image quality is fantastic, and don't take any notice about all of the geeks talking about pixel binning and line skipping and all of that sort of stuff. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter to you. If you want to go out and do some vlogging, this camera, from an image quality point of view, is going to do the job nicely. So what don't I like about the G7X? Well, there's a few things, and the first one is audio. This is a very common complaint about this camera on YouTube. In fact, it's a common complaint about most compact cameras on the market. It's really frustrating. It doesn't have an external mic jack. Now the problem with that is you're going to be relying upon the camera's internal microphones. That's what you're listening to now. Most of the time they do a fairly good job. It's not the greatest quality sound, but I would say in most cases it's going to be okay for YouTube. It's not ideal, but it's what really the majority of vloggers out there who are using compact cameras are relying upon. So it's not like you're standing out in a negative way by using the camera's internal microphones. It's just disappointing because it could be better. If there was a mic jack and a hot shoe to hold a microphone, then you'd get supreme sound, which would be really, really great because sound is so important for video. And there's no way of doing that in this camera. And the issue is that when you're outdoors, somewhere like by the beach, and you're getting some wind going around, it becomes distorted very quickly. And I've had a lot of situations where I've been vlogging and I've not been able to use footage because I've been talking and you just can't hear me because there's just this wind going on. Now there's a light breeze here this morning. I haven't heard this footage, so I can't tell you if there's any sort of that disturbance going on, but I mean, you tell me. I'll find out when I go back and do the edit. But have we run into any sound problems already? I wouldn't be surprised if we have. The other problem is the focus. Now, I've already sung the praises of the focus system, haven't I, with the touch screen, and look, it's good for the most part, but unfortunately you just can't trust it 100% of the time. If you're in autofocus, as I am now, continuous AF with face recognition, usually it does a fairly good job, but when you go into those sort of dimly lit situations, it starts to go in and out of focus quite regularly, or if you're in a backlit situation like now, it will often lose focus on my face. And yeah, you know, it's just one of those things. I wish it was better. I hear that it's been improved on the Mark II model, but it's just on this camera not 100%, and it's been frustrating on more than one occasion. So there you go. And the last thing really that I would mention to you is being a negative of this camera is the battery life. No doubt you would have heard this on other reviews. It sucks. It's really, really bad. I tend to get maybe 45 minutes to an hour of filming and photography on a single charge. So you need to carry spares, basically. Never go out and do any kind of vlogging or filming or anything with this camera unless you've got at least one spare battery, because you're going to need it. Now that's typical for a compact camera. It's not unique to the G7X, so it's not a deal breaker. It's just annoying, really. I've got used to it. Obviously, if you've got a DSLR, they're going to have better battery life. But we'll talk about the pros and cons of using other types of cameras in a moment. But essentially, those are the main cons in my mind to the G7X. So not a huge list, but things to consider. What are the alternatives to this camera? Well, you could go the DSLR route, which a lot of popular vloggers are doing now. Casey Neistat, obviously the famous guy who uses a larger camera. Now that's going to help you get an external mic in. You're also going to have interchangeable lenses as well. The problem is that it's less convenient because it's going to be a lot bigger and heavier no matter what model you choose. I've got a Canon 80D. That's my main rig for photography and other video work, excuse me. And I mean, there's no doubt that is a great camera, dual pixel autofocus and a host of other fantastic features that you're not going to find on a compact camera like this. So of course it's a much more capable machine, but if I want to take that out, it's not really practical for vlogging, to be honest. Even though I'm going to produce nicer footage with better sound and visuals, it's just too cumbersome. You could just use your phone. You're probably watching this on a phone right now, whether it's an iPhone or a Samsung or, you know, whatever, and they've all got what was I saying about rubbish battery life? Well, there you go, waffling away as I always do, and the camera died on me. I guess what I'm building up to saying is that despite this being a gear review of sorts, it's not about the gear, guys. it's about you. It's about your story and the content. It's not about what equipment you're using. You can be using the most expensive, impressive DSLR camera in the world, but if you're just boring, or you might think I'm boring, but yeah, if you've got no energy, if what you're producing isn't entertaining or thought-provoking or engaging in some way, then people are going to switch off and it's not going to be worth it. So if you want to vlog, if you're thinking about getting started, just get out there, shoot something, start talking, start producing content, and that's the only way to become better. I'm still learning. I've only been going just coming up to a year now, but I've had a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, I'd like to give you a bit of a teaser, a bit of a plug for my channel. Please, if you've made it this far to the video, well done first of all. Can't be many of you now surely, but yeah, check out the other videos on my channel. I live in this amazing place, Townsville, far north Queensland. Just moved here from the Kimberley in the north of Western Australia. Had loads of adventures over the last yeah, few months in outback Australia, doing road trips and really getting out there into the bush and experiencing some amazing things with my family. So I put a lot of effort into the videos, try and make them enjoyable, watchable and fun. So yeah, please check them out. There's going to be more coming up of our life in the spectacular part of the world. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Why are you reviewing? One more take. Morning. Bugger. One more. This is the last one. I'm not doing any more. Lots of bloopers.